Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, 1 billion people, actually more than 1 billion. Goodness sakes, the liberal heads are exploding around the world. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, only one other time in history have 1 billion people tuned into a media event. Back in 1973, Elvis, the King, the only other time. Elon, Donald, Elvis, the Kings, 1 billion people. We're going to talk about it tonight. It was fabulous. There was no lisp. I'll explain that. And tonight, we'll talk about the specifics with regards to what they said about Kamala, the campaign, and looking forward. Also tonight, Kash Patel on the program, advisor to President Trump. We're going to talk about his book and movie, Government Gangsters. Kash Patel, all of this tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey, everybody. My name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hey, everybody, The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks so much. Welcome. If you're on Twitter, follow me, subscribe, please. YouTube, the same thing. Facebook, all at Rumble. Hey, the good folks at worldviewtube.com, give them a follow as well. Spreely TV, we're everywhere. We're coming to you wherever we can. And DougBillings.us, my website, newly revamped, refabricated, and a beautiful place to behold. DougBillings.us, please head over there. Prayerfully consider setting up a recurring monthly donation so that I can bring you the truth, just like this. The legacy media, especially after what we saw last night. Legacy media is in their death pangs. They are not relevant. They don't give you the truth. I try to deliver it to you every night. It's a one-man shop over here, me and you, and I'm proud to be with you, shoulder to shoulder. DougBillings.us is your destination to help me bring you the truth. I never charge you for the show. I would never do that. But I do ask that you'd prayerfully consider setting up a monthly recurring donation, whatever you feel as if the truth may be worth to you. DougBillings.us. All right, so last night, ladies and gentlemen, wow, what a deal. Yes, there was a few glitches at the beginning. I'll talk about that at some length here in a moment. But one for the record books last night. Donald Trump invites Elon Musk to come onto his X Spaces platform and for 2.5 hours or so have a conversation as if they were on the telephone, and they were with each other, right? We got to listen in to that. The last time, ladies and gentlemen, this is a good day for me because anytime I get to talk about Elvis and Trump and Musk all together, it's a good day for me. The last time there was a media event that had a billion people watch it was when Elvis Presley's concert, it was called Aloha from Hawaii. It was released via satellite around the world in January of 1973. That's the last time a billion people watched a media event. I remember that night well back in 73, glued to the television set, watching who I consider to be the entertainer of the millennium, Elvis, the King. I was 11 years old, Kansas City, Missouri, watching this thing on TV. Take a look. Let's go back in time and take a look at the last time a man got a billion views. So there we had a little audio problem. No big deal. Thank you, Logan. Not a problem. Look, these things happen. That was Elvis, baby. Burning Love. I wish you could have heard it. Catch me out at a karaoke night on Wednesday down here in Kansas City. I'll be happy to do that song for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. 51 years. 51 years since the last time anyone got a billion views because of a media event, and it happened last night with President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. From the very beginning, when this whole thing was announced, we knew, at least I knew, there was going to be people out there, bad guys, right? Nefarious people who wanted to get in the way of this event, try to block it, try to take it down, interfere with it. And they did. They did for a short time. They succeeded for a moment. They were delayed for what? I'm going to guess. What was it, guys? About 35 or 40 minutes or so. They were delayed, maybe an hour at most. Okay. And there was what they call a distributed denial of service, a DDoS attack on the event, where people attempt to block or to disrupt services that are on servers or networks or websites by overwhelming them with traffic. So that's what happened last night. Musk said that it was an example of the amount of opposition that is out there to try to prevent people from hearing what President Trump has to say. And Musk is right about that. There are people out there, look, and it's a good point to make because, ladies and gentlemen, you know, President Trump, when you look back over his time in the White House, the accomplishments that he had in those 4 years were astronomical. I mean, we could do a full week of shows about the accomplishments that Trump earned and created during his presidency. And I would put it to you all that out of all of those accomplishments, I think that perhaps the single most important one was that President Trump pulled back the curtain and revealed to us the deep state, the full depth, width, and breadth of that evil deep state. I don't know if we've ever heard the term deep state, but President Trump brought it up. We may have used it once or twice before Trump, but I don't recall. And so last night we saw this entire deep state array itself against free speech. And as I said, we've got the Elvis clip. Okay, great. Let's do it. This is the last time anybody earned 1 billion views. We got it for my man Elvis. We got to show it. Logan, go right there. It is. Thanks, Logan, for getting that worked out. My Elvis fix is in for tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, you all know if you watch my show right over my shoulder there, that 1971 concert in Las Vegas when he was in his prime. My dad took me. Been a fan ever since. So thank you for indulging me with that. But that's the last time, 51 years ago, that anyone got 1 billion people to watch them around the planet. And so the three kings, Elvis, Trump, Musk. There you go. But Elvis, or I should say Elvis, Trump, well, they're both great. They're both the greatest of all time. Trump, last night, no one wanted to hear him. They wanted to interfere. No one from the left wanted him to be heard, I should say. They wanted to interfere. They wanted to take down, and they did for a short time. But Elon, his point was he wants to provide voters who are still undecided an opportunity to hear from President Trump in the context of a conversation, not an interview, not at least a traditional interview. I don't think that you can label it as an interview. It was a conversation. It's like I said at the beginning, it's like they're on the phone and we get to eavesdrop on that phone call. But 1 billion views is certainly going to make a lot of liberal heads explode, and they have been all day today. Many clamoring about, you've probably seen, this is illegal. Elon Musk can't offer his platform to President Trump. It's like a campaign donation. It's election interference. And many of you have seen, I'm sure, and read threats of lawsuits. More lawfare. Oh, my gosh. Let's just throw spaghetti against the wall with regards to lawfare. See if it sticks. We're going to file cases because this is obviously not legal. Elon, how dare he do this? Well, so President Trump, ladies and gentlemen, if you step back from that kookville and into reality, you realize a couple of things. First of all, President Trump, for the time being, is a private citizen. He's running for president. I get it. But he's a private citizen who's engaged in a campaign to become president of the United States. As a private citizen, he has an X account. And he has a platform over there. He has a Spaces account. I'm just learning about these Spaces things. I get it. You all a little bit ahead of me. But he's not an elected official yet. He has an X account. President Trump invites Elon Musk to come on to Trump's X account and Spaces and make this and have this discussion. Elon Musk didn't invite Trump to come on to Elon's Spaces on X. Trump invited him. And so Elon accepts this invitation, and the conversation was not only, I think, fascinating, it was articulate, it was passionate, And in a lot of ways, it was intimate in so much as we got a glimpse of what it would be like to listen to these guys who were on a phone call, literally, with one another that was broadcast around the world. So a fascinating and interesting, I think, experience last night. 2.5 hours or so, right? I mean, Trump had his bullet points of notes. And look, again, just to countermeasure a lot of the liberal kookville out there, yes, he had bullet points in front of him, topics on paper that he wanted to talk about. Every podcaster in the world, every newscaster in the world, anybody who is going to be on television or recorded on audio has notes in front of them. I have bullet points that I want to speak. Sometimes I look down. I'm looking at you most of the time because I, like President Trump, we speak extemporaneously, off the cuff. We have some notes, perhaps, bullet points to remind us about which we want to talk. But by and large, Trump was talking off the top of his head last night. You could tell a mile away. But there were pictures made and, of course, videos released of people within his inner circle last night, notes. And, of course, the liberals go, oh, look, you can't read. You can't handle it without notes. Look at Biden, just like Biden. No, it's not at all like Biden. Biden needed notes simply to be able to talk. And he clearly, Biden, could not speak extemporaneously. He could only read from a cue card or from a note card or from a teleprompter. Not at all the same thing. And let me talk about the lisp. Everybody on the left blowing up about the lisp. It did sound like Trump had a lisp last night when you're listening to it on X. And yeah, sounds like it made him sound like he had dentures or something, right? It was a lisp, but the lisp was due to a bad lapel microphone that he was wearing, and it took out the high end of his S's. And so it look, no one is perfect, but Trump does not have a lisp. And when you play the clips of him in the room, not just the clips as we all heard last night on X, it's obvious to anyone who was in the room and anyone who listens to the tapes, there is no lisp. So I have a clip for you. This is at Mar-a-Lago. I want to set it up a bit here before we run it. I've been in this very room with Trump, and I've met with him there. This is a room that's off to the side of Mar-a-Lago. It's in a little bar area, private, sequestered, probably sits about 10 to 15 people at most. And he's in front of a table. He's got the phone on his desk, and there are people in his camp that have made a video. Take a listen to this and listen to him. There is no lisp, ladies and gentlemen. Clip number 2, Logan.
Record that conversation and post it. It would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
Well, I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. And congratulations, because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor.
Yeah, obviously we can countermeasure all of that. So when you hear the kooks out there clamoring about a lisp, it's fictional, doesn't. This is what liberals do when things don't go their way. They're intellectually immature. You can hear it for yourself. His speech was fine. Just another example again. Radical liberal intellectual immaturity on parade. But they are angry. I will tell you that they are angry. I'll tell you for sure. And when you examine their anger and when you examine their frustration of liberals around the world, not just in America, at the core of their anger is a frustration with the fact that they know this, and this is important. They know that Elon Musk represents multiple dozens of millions of people in the United States who were once either liberals or progressives themselves or members of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party, which doesn't exist anymore. And I'll get to that in a minute. But these people are angry. They have now been persuaded. People like Elon Musk, multiple millions of people like Elon Musk, who were once liberal-leaning, if not full-frontal liberals themselves, who have now been persuaded precisely because of the purposeful chaos and the purposeful crises that the Democratic Party thrusts upon us. These people have been persuaded to leave the Democrat Party and become Republicans, and who will vote for Trump in November. And maybe they're only Republicans for this election cycle. Maybe so, but we'll take them. And that's why the liberals are angry. Elon Musk represents multiple millions of people who were once in their camp but are now not, precisely because of the policies, the platform, and the politics that the liberal kooks put forth. And that's what makes their heads explode more than anything else. All right, up against a break. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in about 15 minutes, Kash Patel going to join me on this program, the author of the book, Government Gangsters, his new movie based on that book. He's going to join me at the bottom of the hour. Enjoy this trip into capitalism. I'll be right back. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older. And it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. liveyoungerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield, electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. It can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we meet in determined prayer and determined patriotism.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. The Right Side with Doug Billings. Let me say it again loud and clear. Every time, remember the old adage, every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings? Every time you say 1 billion, a liberal head explodes. Think of it that way, ladies and gentlemen. 1 billion. Across the world. There they go. Heads blowing up. It's a great thing to see. We had a great conversation last night, Trump and Elon Musk. And if we want to look at what the liberal anger and their angst is, there's so many different avenues that we go down to talk about that. But if we want to really get specific about it, I've told you before that if we look at the elected class in the United States throughout the country, not just in Washington, D.C., but especially there, when we look at them, there are no more Democrats. They have, you picture in your mind whoever you will in that elected class in Washington, D.C., whoever you think represents the Democrat Party. Just picture anybody. I can tell you is that what you'll see, and because of this exercise I believe in, is someone who has blended, whoever you're picturing now as a Democrat, they have blended communism and socialism together. They are no longer Democrats, but they are commu-socialists. Now, the liberals laugh that off, but in all seriousness, this is what they've done, blending communism and socialism together. And they are the Communist-Socialist Party of America. The Democrats do not exist. Clearly, we can tell the Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy, give me a break. It does not exist. The Democrat Party of Bill Clinton doesn't exist. And I would put it to you that not even the Democrat Party of Barack Obama exists. They are incredibly, and I think fanatically, engaged in communism, socialism, the Communist-Socialist Party. And ladies and gentlemen, they are not a pro-America political party. And Elon Musk knows this. And as I've said, he represents multiple dozens of millions of people who also know this. Multiple dozens of millions of people are coming to the right side this election cycle. The beginning of their conversation, They spent a long time talking about the assassination attempt of President Trump. And they did. Trump goes on and he talks a long time about it. We have a clip. Logan, let's play a minute and a half, 2 minutes of this clip. This is from last night. They're talking about the assassination attempt, and Elon, you'll hear him in here. Elon, also Mark Zuckerberg, who was not on the call last night, but in separate interviews, Mark Zuckerberg also said that this assassination attempt, when Trump stood up, put his fist in the air, fight, 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 Zuckerberg himself said that was the most badass thing that he'd ever seen in his life. And Elon alludes to that because that's how Elon felt when he saw this. And they talk about this to a degree in this clip. Logan, let's play that from last night.
Your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You, instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, the president of the United States represents America, and I think that is America. That is strength under fire, and so that's a big part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here. Is that was just incredibly inspiring. But I mean, what was it like for you?
Not pleasant. I have to be honest. I said there was blood. I had more blood. I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very. I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. I was telling somebody you have instances like this or like a lot less than this where you feel it's a surreal situation. And I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear.
Yeah. And
because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout bullets, bullets, get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly. And we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter. And so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was, for those people that don't believe in God, I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer. Now I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle. And all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart even more now.
Maybe it's a sign. Maybe that's a sign.
It's an immigration sign.
You highlighted a serious issue.
There it is. Great conversation. And so there it is. It's as if they're really they're on the phone. I get it, but it's broadcast. We all got to take part and listen to that. So let me give you just before we go to a break, and we're going to bring on Kash Patel here in a minute. We're going to talk about his incredible movie, Government Gangsters, based on his best-selling book. That conversation right there. Last night Trump talked at length about his assassination attempt, and I was making notes, listening to it right here in the studio, and the entire conversation, not once did he speak literally or with innuendo or with speculation about his assassination attempt being an inside job. He was complimentary of the Secret Service. He gave them great reviews, and there was nothing in his tone, there was nothing in his inflection of voice that was cynical or suspicious about how the Secret Service acted that day. The only possible negative comment was that he made was about he said there were maybe some communication gaps between the Secret Service and local law enforcement. But Trump was not pretending to hide anything there. You can tell, if there's a person that knew in the back of their mind that this was an inside job and they really had proof of that, you could tell in their inflection, in innuendo, you could tell. And people out there are going to say, well, Doug, President Trump isn't going to comment about, an ongoing investigation regarding an inside job about an assassination of his very life. And of course he wouldn't do that. I agree with that, but that's not my point. My point is that when you listen to that conversation, the idea or the concept of a quote unquote inside job doesn't come up, and it's not implied in any way. So we'll let those investigations go forth. I'm not saying it was or it wasn't. I'm just saying that the president himself doesn't give any indication in tone, conjecture, or by implying anything about that. So, and the conversation goes on. We heard him. There were some funny lines in there. I mean, they were talking about Kamala Harris, about her not being able to do this kind of an interview. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think Kamala Harris has enough insurance coverage, because they're right. If she does something like this, her brain would be damaged. I mean, she would have to have medical treatment. There's no way that she is not a good public speaker. She cannot talk about notes. She couldn't reply, respond, or talk without the use of notes. And I'll bet you a nickel that they would not provide live video of her speaking to Musk like they did with President Trump. And then they were talking. Trump says at one point, and I can't imitate the president, but Kamala, she couldn't do this. She's not very smart. She's just not a smart person. And Elon goes, no, she's not. And it's comic relief. And later towards the end of their conversation, Elon says, and this was very serious. He said, I think we're at a fork in the road with regards to the destiny of our country. And I think that you represent the right path. And he was talking about Trump. Profound. And he's right. And so there you have it. All right. Well, that was last night, 1 billion views. So now we have two events in the history of mankind where 1 billion people tuned in. Elvis from the Aloha Hawaii concert in 1972. And we have Elon and Donald. The Three Kings, ladies and gentlemen. There it is, 1 billion views. All right, Kash Patel is in the wings. He is going to be on the program, going to talk about government gangsters. I want to show you a clip of Steve Bannon talking about this film. We'll go to a break, and then we'll come back, and we'll have Kash Patel with us. So let's play the Bannon clip.
Okay, we have a new film coming out off of Kash Patel's book, Government Gangsters. It's going to be a blockbuster. It's the first film I've actually produced in a couple of years. We got a great team, Matthew Taylor, Dan Fluitt, others that have put this together. This film rocks the house. What does it do? It goes through every senior criminal in the Biden regime and a couple of 3 in the Obama regime and walks through their specific crimes. You do not want to miss this film. This is the type of movie that could change this election. This is where you can put your shoulder to the wheel. You pass this on, you push this movie out, you get your friends to watch it. This is what could be a 2 to 5 point swing in the polls, a 2 to 5 point swing on November 5th. Government Gangsters coming in mid-July. You can stream Government Gangsters at warroom.film. Let me repeat that. You can stream Government Gangsters at warroom.film.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the inner circle members, President Trump, an advisor, a friend to Trump, and a patriot, Kash Patel, standing by, ready to come join us right after this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Kash Patel. Cheers.
We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, coming to you from the fruited plains of America.
Government gangsters are the group of individuals, career bureaucrats, who have been installed by what we call the deep state into every agency and department in the United States government. Had Donald Trump not won in 2016, he would not have exposed the flank of the deep state and their weapon of choice, the two-tier system of justice. From Russiagate to Hunter Biden's laptop to Joe Biden's classified documents case to January 6th to the 51 Intel letter and everything in between. We would never have learned that. These people are dangerous and vindictive, learning from their mistakes and perfecting ways to hide their corruption.
It is finally time for a straightforward assessment of the state of our nation.
Wow, one of the best trailers I've ever seen for a major motion picture. Ladies and gentlemen, Kash Patel is in the wings waiting for us. 901-316-8404, by the way, in case you want to join us on the phone lines. 901-316-8404. Without further ado, let's bring on Kash Patel. Kash, welcome back to this show. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Listen, you've been here before. We've spoken about that. I know you get a lot of these requests. You're a busy man. You've got this movie coming out based on your national bestseller. What is it like? What's it like to have a movie, man? Tell me about that. What's it like?
I don't know. Honestly, Doug, it's surreal. And you know, all credit's got to go to the brain trust that is Steve Bannon. He got a copy of my book and he goes, "Man, we're making this into a movie." I go, "I don't know what that means. What are you talking about? You want me to go mine for iron ore? I can do that too." You know, he's just a genius. He's got his team with Dan and Matt, and they put this thing together in 100 days. 100 days, literally. Steve's walking into prison, and he goes, "The message is too important. The election year is too important. Everything's on the line. Let's visualize for the American people what so many have been talking about and show how the interchangeability of these government gangsters will ruin American lives unless Donald Trump wins."
I mean, look, I said earlier in this show, in fact, and this was just a coincidence, but I mean it. When we look back at the 4 years that President Trump had in office, I could do a week or more of shows just about the accomplishments. I mean, we could talk about all of the many things that he did, but among all of them, I think, my opinion, number one among them all is the fact that President Trump pulled back and revealed to us the depth, the width, and the breadth of the deep state. And the number one thing that he's done, I don't even know if we used the term, maybe you know, but I don't even know if we used the term before Trump, deep state. I certainly don't have a memory of that, at least not as much as we did after Trump.
Yeah, and I guess I'm the guy that lived it. You know, when I uncovered the Russiagate scandal, we really found out what the deep state was made of, and that was turned into a great book by Lee Smith, The Plot Against the President. So I think that started it all for me when, you know, and a lot of people today, that's the importance of this movie. They were either asleep or lied to 5, 7, 8 years ago. So they need to be brought up to speed. And that's what Government Gangsters does. And it shows you that, yes, the FBI was infiltrated by a political party, abused your campaign dollars, lied to a federal court, all to go ahead and illegally surveil a political opponent. That's the FBI in the 21st century of the United States of America. Then they did it 4 more times. And that's just a piece of the deep state. And so what I wanted to show Americans was, unfortunately, it's real, but what's more important is that Donald Trump continued to expose it at DOD, at the intelligence community, and every apparatchik of the United States government. And even better, there's a cure for it. And I think Donald Trump started that cure, which is why they're so terrified. If he wins, this is why everyone is hyperventilating in Washington, D.C., Republicans and Democrats. It's not an R versus D thing. It's an RND thing. And they are terrified that Donald Trump will come in and finish the job of exposing their corruption and putting out the truth for the American people.
And it's not like this is his first rodeo now. He's done this before. He knows the game. We think that I think he's going to be expeditious in his approach to all of this. Don't you, Kash? Isn't that true? Won't he just know where to go, and won't he invite people? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's like our friend General Flynn. Maybe all of them to get involved to gut, cleanse, and purge the Department of Justice and other government agencies along the way. They spoke a little bit about that last night. Elon and Trump did, about reducing the redundancies and the fat of the federal government.
It's a huge component of President Trump's ability to go out there, and the bench is deep for those that want to serve behind President Trump. That's the great news. The mission right now is to get him elected and have accountability internally inside of government, inside of Washington, D.C. And the great news about President Trump is he's not running again. He's got these 4 years, and he will hopefully win this election and just go full speed every single day for 4 straight years. And that's what the mainstream media knows, because they're in on the con job. Remember, the mainstream media lied to you about Russiagate. The mainstream media lied to you about the 51 intel letter to rig a presidential election. The mainstream media lied to you about Ukraine impeachment 1 and Hunter Biden's laptop, and so much more. Doug, you go around this country, you have amazing guests on your show, and their communities have been lied to, and so many people have said, wow, I didn't know that. That's the point of this movie, Government Gangsters. We're stitched it together for you in 63 minutes so you could take it to your communities. And yes, if you want to do a filming in your community, we'll send you the movie, fill a theater, and heck, we might even show up as a surprise guest. And I think that's why Donald Trump put this movie out on Truth Social, and now this is why it's available to everybody. We want the message out there. We can fix this country.
Well, that's it. I mean, now that you put it in those terms, Kash, we're going to get you out to Kansas City. We're going to fill a theater, and we're going to get you some Kansas City barbecue. I'm serious. That's part of my mission before the end of the year. I know that you're going to be busy with the approaching election and possible discussions with Trump, but I want you to, we'll do everything we can. I'm at your service. Now, with regards to the movie, I don't want to be the guy that says, let's read the last page of the book or the last chapter of the movie. But with regards to Government Gangsters, we can surmise from the trailer, we can glean from what you're saying about the movie. Is there in the movie hope? Is there hope that government gangsters can be truly held accountable?
Yeah, and look, I don't like using the word hope because that's what Obama ran on. I don't want hope.
Well, there you go. Yes, well met. Well met.
I want to inspire hope for the American people through Donald Trump. I think that's part of his inner core. That's something he can only do. I'm the guy that's going to tell you, hey, this is the mechanism in which it's delivered. And that's the beauty about Government Gangsters, the movie. It tells America how to get involved. It tells America that if you want accountability in your community and you want it in Washington, D.C., then this is what we must do together as a nation. And that's the beauty of it. It's not just show up and vote. That's just a piece of it. It's show up and get at the truth. Take that truth into your communities. Do a screening of this movie. Have courageous individuals like you and your program marshal around this country and tell you the truth so that your communities have that to vote on Election Day and the truth is not robbed from them. That's the whole driving engine of Government Gangsters. When you show them the government's own documents, that's what we give you on screen. We show you the FBI's documents, the DOJ's unlawful actions, the DOD, the intelligence community, day after day after day. It's not a summary from me. It's a documented movie by their own, the criminals' own admissions. And here's the good news, Doug. I come cheap. KC Barbecue will pretty much guarantee that I show up.
Boom. All right. So that's the deal. I'm going to call Erica. We know who that is. I'm going to make some arrangements, and we're going to fill a 400, 500 person theater here in Kansas City, and we'll begin to do that. I promise you, we'll make that happen. Let me. Government Gangsters, high on our radar. We go to warroom.film to see this thing, right? To get it, right? For the people. Yep. We're going to have that information throughout the interview tonight. We're going to repost this program everywhere. What is your take on last night with regards to Trump and Elon and his discussion last night? They did speak a lot about, as we mentioned here briefly just a moment ago, the reduction, Elon volunteering to be part of the staff that would reduce redundancies and so forth. Do you see yourself as being tapped? Now, maybe you can't say, and I respect that, but you're part of the inner circle. Are you going to be tapped on the shoulder to be part of the reduction of these government gangsters, Kash?
Look, my mission is to help my boss win, whatever it takes. And if he wants to call me on November 6th, I'll take the call. That's his decision after November 6th. Right now, we got to win. And last night, and it's brilliant to raise this. Last night, if you were living on planet Earth, you saw two of the world's most powerful, intelligent, successful, influential people speak to each other unscripted for 2 hours. That was amazing. If you're living in the deep state, if you're living in government gangster land, and you're living in basically Saturn, what you saw were headlines that said, Donald Trump talked poorly, Elon Musk did not deliver, the X platform was a bust. Remember, these are the same people that were glorifying Elon maybe like a year ago, have now continued the disinformation machine to protect the Harris regime because she could not do 1 minute of that style interview. And what you heard from Donald Trump last night were policies, were ways to build bridges with Elon Musk, to have government accountability and efficiency, and even have Elon Musk offer to come into government service. I mean, wow, that's incredible. Who has Kamala Harris gotten that is that influential and successful to come in and say, I'll work in your administration? George Clooney?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, George Clooney and a few of the other, Mark Hamill, there's a few of the other kooks out there. The thing, though, you're right, though, about Elon. And what I said today on the program earlier before you came on, Elon, the reason these liberal heads are exploding also is that Elon Musk represents multiple dozens of millions of people who were once left-leaning, if not full outright liberal, who believed in that platform and their policies and their politics, but because of the purposeful chaos and crisis that I call them the Communist Socialist Party. I don't think Democrats exist anymore, Kash. They've blended communism and socialism together. I call them the Communist Socialist Party. They are clearly, evidence of the obvious is sufficient. They are clearly not a pro-America political party. And they're panicked and their heads are exploding because Elon Musk represents millions of them who are now coming over, at least if only for this election cycle, they're coming over to the right side. What do you think?
Look, that's very politically astute. I'm not the campaign genius. I'm just trying to get the facts out about the deep state, national security, law enforcement. But that is very, very discerning in terms of what happened last night. And what it shows is another layer of their hypocrisy. Kamala Harris comes out and says, how dare Elon use his company to engage in a conversation with Donald Trump? I'm sure Elon would use his platform to engage in a conversation with you, Kamala Harris. And it's not as if any of the Harris supporters or the mainstream media and the Democrats were up in arms when Mark Zuckerberg dumped $400 million in the last presidential election, where Facebook, his company, the third largest company on planet Earth, rigged the presidential election by censoring truthful information that was being put out there by brave Americans, centrists, and Republicans. Hunter Biden's laptop and the 51 Intel letter, to name two things. And what did Zuckerberg do this year? Apologize to Donald Trump for censoring truthful information and getting in bed with the likes of the FBI and Chris Wray to rig a presidential election by saying, if you tell us not to put this out there, we'll do that. Where are the critics for Mark Zuckerberg? It shows the hypocrisy of their ways and the powerful movement that Donald Trump is leading to eviscerate this hypocrisy. And I thought him and Elon teaming up was a pretty brilliant move.
It was, powerful. And Elon also hit on something that Zuckerberg talked about. I can't remember the exact interview, the person that conducted the interview, but it was just a few weeks ago. And Zuckerberg admitted, he said, when I saw President Trump get shot in the face, go down and get back up, raise his fist in the air and say, fight, fight, fight. In the words, and I'm quoting Zuckerberg, he said, that was the most badass thing I'd ever seen in my whole life. And Musk commented and said almost the same thing himself last night. And what we saw around this country and around the world was a man standing up in the face of adversity and being a man. In the age of liberalism and wokeism, where manhood is being wussified, we saw a man take a bullet and get up and say, fight back.
That's the man I want leading this country. A man who gets shot for America, a man who gets shot for the world, a man who, after getting shot, shows up at the RNC and delivers to the American people point after point after point of policy. Hey, Kamala Harris, what policy do you have besides picking a vice presidential candidate that lied about his military service to this country and allowed police precincts to burn down in the state of Minnesota during the George Floyd riots? Those are your two policy achievements, not to mention your cataclysmic failure at the border, which is causing our children to overdose on Chinese fentanyl and our mothers and grandmothers to be raped and murdered by illegal immigrants and terrorists to flood our streets. Those are your policy successes. I'd gladly take them up against Donald Trump any day.
So true. You know, Kash, I've said it. What she represents, what that entire Communist Socialist Party represents, is a coalition of immorality, and it is absolutely true. What you say is true. These immigrants, the illegals, the cartels. I mean, we have on the southern border, on the other side, these things called rape trees, where women and boys and children are raped and murdered, and the people in our country who are victimized. It's a coalition, and we could go into the LGBTQ kook community, transgenderism, the fiction that children can become happy if only they'd mutilate their genitalia. That's what the radical left is saying, Kash, and it's absolutely disgusting. I couldn't agree with more what you just said. But hey, let's go back to government gangsters. We have about a minute left. I want to make sure that you have the last word. Movie, we're going to try to fill a theater for you. We're going to get a hold of some folks in Kansas City, make that happen. People around the country can go to warroom.film, see this, get information about it, and take a look at the film. About 45, 50 seconds, Kash. You've got the last word, my friend.
Yeah, look, it's so appreciated to come on your incredibly important and explosive show. Yeah, warroom.film. And look, everybody across this country, whether you watch this show or War Room or Bannon or mainstream media or what have you, has asked the world to provide them with a summary about the deep state and what they can do to help defeat it. Well, we delivered. Bannon delivered. Matthew Taylor and Dan Fluette delivered. Go to warroom.film. You've got this. You literally just have to go to warroom.film and press play. And if you want to play it in a theater with hundreds of people, we'll send it to you to do that. And if we can get there on ourselves, we'll get there for you. But we want this thing played over and over and over again. So get a theater, get a room, get a restaurant, get a veterans club, and go to warroom.film and play this movie. You can now join the fight because we show you how. Let's take this country back.
That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is all about, getting involved, taking it back. You own the destiny. And as Elon said last night, I think that we're at a fork in the road with regards to the destiny of this country. And he said to Trump, I think you're the right path. And Kash, let me tell you this, my friend, you are the path as well. Thank you for making time to come on the show. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. I will be right back right after this break. Cheers.
twc.health/Brandon. This is one of our sponsors, has been now for a few years. Here it is. You just go there. If you use that URL, folks, you not only save money, but our program gets credit, which helps us keep doing great shows like this for free and pushing them out. twc.health/Brandon. Look up here at the top of the page where it says Med Kits. Go down there to the one that says Contagion Emergency Kit. Contagion Emergency Kit. That's the one you want, right, Dr. McCullough?
Right. That's going to cover bird flu. Just you start on day one. I think all the animal workers, people in rural areas need to have these. You can't wait around for the pharmacist. If you start early, that comes with telemedicine. We can intensify the antivirals, get other drugs going. Very affordable. Join through Brandon's website. Join as a member because we're working on ways to replace the used drugs, and you have to be a member to get that advantage.
Doug Billings, reminding you that conservatives are better looking than liberals.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks again to Kash Patel for coming on the program. Don't forget warroom.film if you want to check out Government Gangsters. Ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines have been filling up. We do have time to take some calls. So I had said at 901-316-8404, ladies and gentlemen. We have Ed from Florida. Ed, I'm sorry it took me a while to get to you. Welcome back to The Right Side.
Well, thank you for taking my call. I've really enjoyed your dialogue, and all of your opening comments today is probably your best show that I've gotten to watch so far. So thank you very much. I'm 4 months older than President Trump, so I have some of the same background and thought patterns that he has. I was once a federal employee for 27 and a half years, and I quit because I didn't want to deal with a brain-dead, corrupt employer. And the deep state was deep then, and it hasn't changed, and it's just grown and gotten worse all along. And I hope everybody gets to watch this film that Kash and others put together. I haven't got to see it yet, but it's a step in the right direction. And in recent days,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I'm just babbling along. There's so many subjects I'd like to talk about, but, you know.
Do you remember back in the days when you were an employee in the federal government, do you remember the term deep state being used back then?
I think I might have heard it. It may have existed.
I have no memory of it. It's not a loaded question. I don't have any memory. It may well have been. I know that after Trump was elected, we used it all the time. He used it. But I didn't know if he coined the term or not. So I just was curious as to whether or not you had memory of that term.
Well, there may have been another term, but I've been out of the government for, 30 years. I got my 60 years of employment in already, and I quit working at 76, basically. So I forgot a lot of stuff. But you disappeared.
It's okay. I'm here. You got me, Ed?
Yes. I'm going blank. The federal government, Reagan was president about the time, and he had all these programs going to reduce the government. That one of the reasons I was able to get an early retirement was because of reduction in the government, in the Defense Department, because he developed a defense system that really worked, and there was no longer a need for the size of the Defense Department. So they were going to actually just exterminate the branch, or not the branch, but the place I was working, and scatter us all over the country. And there was all kinds of resistance to that. And they thought they were going to be able to save us, and it didn't happen. But I was happy to go and start 3 other new careers that got me up to where I am now. And I wanted to pick on you about your commie socialist, previously known as the Democrat Party, because that's upside down in my mind. The new Democrat Party is the Maoist, Marxist, communist, socialist, and others owned by the CCP party.
Yes,
that's my perspective. Okay.
Yep.
So
there's a number of ways that we could phrase them. I'm aware of that. I for whatever reason, four years ago when I started the show, I began to think about that, and I just in my own head was calling them the Communist Socialist Party. Yes, to your point, we could call them about anything that has to do with those groups of folks, and we'd be spot on about it.
Well, the thing is, it's not previously known as. It's the new. Democrat
point
Party.
Well made. Yes, well met. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my only point. You can call it any nasty name you want, but the old Democrat Party was simply a bunch of liberal people that loved and wanted to help people out that were on the lower end of the thing. But the new one is just part of this a world government group that wants to take over and destroy everything in this country and have us subject to its tyranny.
You're right, Ed. All right. Well, listen, you're spot on as usual. I appreciate you always taking time to make a phone call. Always good to hear from you. Give our best to everybody down there in Florida.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Ed. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, yes, we have a couple of minutes left here. I want to, look, what's important is what Kash said earlier. We have a task at hand. As we look over these last 4 years, we feel as if sometimes this was the chaos and the crisis that this commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, casts down upon us. We sometimes think this was just like an overnight thing where in 2020 we had election integrity issues and we had a pandemic and we feel sometimes, I think, as if it just happened overnight. This has been in the works for a long time. And as I begin to say goodnight to you tonight, remember, the radical left have been at this for 127 years. Their side, people like you and me, but who believe in that left-leaning radical liberal nonsense, they got involved as activists around this country. They got involved in their local levels of government, their school boards, their county commissioners, and so forth, aldermen, mayors, local level stuff, and they took over. And it cascaded down many, many decades, and now here we are today. So this is the wake-up call for us, and this is what I was meaning about Kash Patel and his point, is that we need to take the reins in our local level. Forget Washington, D.C. No change that I'm aware of ever really started in Washington, D.C. It starts with you, ladies and gentlemen, you and me in our local counties, in the states within where we live. That's where it begins. That's the battle. That's the front line of all of this. Get involved. Do the best you can to convince people in your neighborhood, your community, your county to get involved. That means everything from making election day, not election month, going back to paper ballots, getting rid of the machines, day of election voting. And volunteer when you can, or become a member of a paid staff that goes out and becomes election officials. Watch, observe, and make sure that it's all done honestly. Do what you can, get involved. School boards, your local county board of commissioners, all very important in how you steer the country by virtue of your county. Even your sheriffs and their elections and so forth, very important. Make sure that you are bolstered up. We are going to win this thing. The founding fathers and the divine providence of God himself are on our side. The intent of the founders. And isn't it interesting that, and I'll just say it out loud, you cannot be a Democrat and a patriot. It's impossible. The Democratic Commune Socialist platform is to fundamentally transform America away from the divine providence of God and the intent of the founding fathers. That is not an American patriot. You can't be a person of faith or a patriot and belong to a policy, platform, or politics organization that begins to say we must transform America fundamentally away from the principles of our founding. That's outrageous, and that's what they're attempting to do. It's not even a question. It's a matter of record. It's a matter of fact. Ladies and gentlemen, DougBillings.us. Please don't forget to head over there, DougBillings.us. I always will give you the show for free, but what is the truth worth to you? It's how I produce the show. I'm dependent upon your prayerful consideration for donations. Consider going over there, DougBillings.us, and setting up a monthly recurring donation for the program so that I can continue to bring it to you. Have a great evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you again tomorrow. Believe it, for the Republic. Cheers.
This is single cell plant. Welcome to Technocracy News with your host, Patrick Wood. I'm Logan House. We got a couple articles we're going to go over today. Patrick, how are you doing?
I'm doing just great.
Good. I think we're going to start out with this one right here, right? The AI Black Swan. Power prices skyrocket on East and West Coast.
Exactly.
And it goes into how just the prices of utilities and energy is going up across the whole country due partly to AI.
Well, it is. And on both coasts of our country, you can see the pincer coming into